This is the brand new Hardy 45 European. So brand new that this was launched 2 days ago by Princess Anne in Cornwall. And it sailed up here yesterday to Southampton. They did the trip in 8 hours, cruising at about 20 knots, just over. And here she is, ready for the South Coast boat shows. This is the very first time she's being seen. Now, this is based around the Hardy 42, which is actually the boat that the RNLI use as a training boat. And they've got a couple of these. So it is a proper, solid, seaworthy boat. And the idea of this is very much about being able to go down through the French canals, for example, being able to explore. So we've got things like a folding arch, which I'll show you in a minute, but also you'll notice things like this. You can step on these. There's a door here that opens thusly, and you can step on from a pontoon really easily. It's not like these boats where you have to go around and get on the bathing platform and climb up the back. I mean, you can do that, of course, and we're going to, but the point is, these are a very accessible, very practical, and very usable boat. And I'm going to take you on board and I'm going to give you the full tour. So as mentioned, they build these in Cornwall, and they're a very nice quality boat. Let's go and have a look, shall we? We've got life raft down here on this one. This is, well, as I mentioned, this is the very first one. This is very much to owner specification, but they are very much a sort of like a semi-custom builder, in as much as the hull and the superstructure are pretty fixed, but most other things are up for grabs really. And I'll show you some of the layout choices on this one that have changed. Now, it's an aft cabin layout. What that means is you've got accommodation right the way through the whole boat. It doesn't stop here like a lot of boats do. It comes right back, and that's why we've got this raised deck, because of course the cabin is underneath here. And look who we've got here. We've got Jack Lassac making a rare appearance. People were saying they hadn't seen him for a while, so I thought we'd better bring him out. Well, I was going to call it a cockpit area. It's an aft deck really, isn't it? Is up on this level here. What's nice about this is it puts everything all connected together. So you've got the helm here and the seating all on one level. You can see the canopy around the back, and you can see the framework that that's on. That will lift up and across and zip onto here. And in fact, this forward canopy, you can see this mechanism, that so that that can be undone and that can hinge back against here if you want to. So it's very, very easy to put that canopy up, or to take it down, or to run it in its current configuration, which is like having a wheelhouse, because you've got the front bit closed in and the back bit open. Another interesting thing about this arch that goes across here, which is where the radar and the antennas and that sort of stuff live, is the fact that you'll be able to see down here there's a hinge, and that's because that whole section there will hinge back down. That again is back to the fact that you can take this boat down through the canals, through the European waterways, that sort of thing. And in fact, if you want to, you can also have folding windscreens. There's an airplane going over. We're going to have to have a look. Hang on. Look at that. Going to Southampton Airport. It's fantastic. Wheels are down. It's coming to land. EasyJet. Brilliant. I'm so easily impressed, aren't I? There's a lot of work going on in these buildings back here. You can see all the scaffolding. So if you hear building noises in the background, I'm sorry about that. Not a lot I can do. I don't think they'll stop for me. Helm position is here. Very nice helm seats on here. Look at these. These look super comfortable. There's a bit of storage down underneath them. And in fact, you've got storage down underneath here as well. You can see the lids around the top. So for deck gear, all that kind of stuff, that will live in, oops, let's try that again, places like this. There we go. This table folds, so you can make that smaller if you want to. And these stainless steel pieces down here, these are vents for the cabins, for the aft cabin obviously. We've got speakers here as well. And if we take a look at the helm itself, this has got the Hardy operating system, so we can get into everything on here. So courtesy lights, lighting we're on at the moment, for example, and you can see you can adjust the intensity of it by sliding these fellows. In fact, we'll slide them all the way up, and hopefully that will make sure we don't get any flickering. What else have we got? We've got another screen here. This is for navigation. VHF radio is here as well. The Yanmar engine instrumentation is underneath that one. Throttle controls, of course. There we go. That's straight. And then autopilot underneath this one. And we have joystick control here as well. There we go, and that's just data. Very good. These little black fellows around here are for demisting. And in fact, this is quite a protected area here, and when you sit here, you're nice and high up, and you've got a great view all the way around. Bear in mind, this is an owner-operator style of boat, so that's really, really helpful. So to see what you're doing and be able to manage the boat. A couple could manage this boat very easily. Let's go and take a look inside. So there's a big sliding stainless steel framed door here, which I think is clipped back at the moment. Oh no, it isn't. There we are. So that slides across there to close it off. That's where it clips back. That one there, like so. And then we'll head on in. So as mentioned, the accommodation is the full length of this one. I can hear a phone ringing, but it's not me this time. I remembered to turn mine off. Look at the woodwork on here. These are not cheap mass-produced boats. In fact, as I mentioned before, the hull and the superstructure are fairly fixed, but pretty much everything else you can customize and have whatever you want. They're really good at that. But also look at the quality of this. Look at the finish. It's a very solid, very nicely put together boat, this. As I say, if you're simply looking for the cheapest boat you can get at 45 feet, this probably isn't it. In fact, I'd say almost certainly it isn't. But if you want something that's rock solid, come and check these out. This is, I think this is American oak on here. Again, loads of different choices. So if you want something a bit darker or a bit different, they'll do that for you. And again, this one has been specified with the fixed table leg. If you wanted a height adjustable leg there, you can have it. There's a fridge drawer down underneath there. And then we've got storage down here for boat brochures today, because we're at a boat show. But yeah, shelving there. And nice big windows, actually. Even when you're sat down, you've got a great view out. And you'll notice there's no helm down here. Because the upper helm is so well protected by that canopy, you don't need one down here, and so that means that this whole interior is all living space. That's why there's so much space in here. And you'll see that as we go on through. Side door here, nice hinge on this. Look at this. There we go. And you've got the steps up and out of that side. That's really good for access around the boat, but also very, very good for ventilation, because you've got a good through flow of air with that there. There we go. Let's head on forward even. Getting ahead of myself. Now this particular layout, we've got the galley over on this side, and we've got a pantry area then down over here. Now you can change this, and I'll show you in the brochure the alternative, but there's another version where you can have lose this basically. The galley is a little bit bigger, and it makes the forward cabin a bit bigger, and I'll explain the benefits of that when we go through. But with this one, what we have here is big fridge, big freezer, and if you wanted to, you could have a fridge freezer here and then a washing machine. If you preferred, with the other layout, I think you can have a fridge and a freezer and a washing machine, if I remember rightly. And then over here, this again is just a storage area like this. There we go, and you also have access to the day heads from here. Here we go, let's find a light switch for that one. There we are, it's got the fan there as well. But it's also en suite to the forward cabin, and we'll see that in just a minute. So we've got the rotating shower screen there, and of course the basin and the loo and the usual things you'd expect to find in an en suite. Very good. Let's close that one over, let's turn that light back off. There we are. And we'll head in this way. So this then is the forward cabin. Basically, you've got a cabin at each end of the boat. So this is the guest cabin, the owner's cabin is aft. But it means you've got total privacy because they both have their own facilities and they're both at opposite ends of the boat. So if you're cruising with two couples, this is a very, very nice setup. Or if you've got noisy, argumentative children, this is an excellent setup. So that is through to the ensuite that we just looked at. That's also the day heads. And then this is the forward end of this cabin. So we've got V berths in here. There is an infill to fill this in to make that into a double bed if you prefer. The other layout option, and as I say, I'll show you in just a minute what that looks like, has scissor berths in here. So you have a double in the center, and then they will swing out. It splits down the middle basically, and they swing out to make V berths. So, but that's possible because the other layout's got a bit more space in here. We've got storage about the place. There's obviously the hatch overhead with something on it. I'm not quite sure what. We'll see when we go around the outside. And then down here, big wardrobes. It is a boat designed for extended cruising, so this sort of stuff is really, really helpful. And then there's also, there's a drawer underneath there, so look. No, it's not, it's a panel. There we go. So it's a bit of storage and a bit of access. Let's see if we can put that back as we found it. Oh, hang on. Easier if you're not holding a GoPro. There we go. That's got it. Let's pretend that never happened. And there's storage down underneath here as well. There we are. I'll edit that out later and we'll move on. Let's come right up into here and spin on round. Little reading lights and plug sockets and USBs and all that kind of stuff is there as well. Good. Let's press on back. And I'll show you. So on this one, as mentioned, pantry area over here. Galley is here. If I find the brochure, we will discover. Here we go. This is the alternative layout. So on this one, that pantry area is gone. The heads is moved back a bit. The galley is extended slightly. This moves back and that makes room for this as a berth. So you can see that's what it's like when they are together and that's what it's like when they're apart. And then this is broadly similar to what we've got here. But again, a lot of customization. This is interesting. This is showing the air draft with the arch down. And it's for the Canal du Midi bridges, because those are the lowest bridges on the French waterways. So if you wanted to take this boat down to the Med through the French waterways, you could do, and that is showing you got clearance for that. If you want to be absolutely certain, as I say, you can get a folding windscreen as well. There we go. So that's your options there. Let's head on back, because I think this, as is always the way with aft cabin boats, is the pièce de la résistance. Because this isn't just a cabin, this is a full-on bedroom. Look at this. Bear in mind, we're in a 45-foot boat. Impressive, isn't it? A load of storage. You can see it all the way around over there. Not going to open it all, but you get the idea. Nice little dressing table in here as well. And these doors are clipped back. Yeah, there we go. See this little catch there? That releases like that. They're automatic, so they just go in like that. But we'll close that just for a minute so that we can see that, and we can see one of the hanging lockers there as well. There we are, drawers by the bed. Oh, let's clip that back properly. There we go. It's a good size, isn't it? We've got the windows in the back here, and in fact they're opening windows as well, so you can get ventilation through there. Or indeed, it's an escape route in a worst case scenario. Let's come right over here. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? A big cabin. There we are. That one is big wardrobe. And that one is the ensuite to this cabin. There we are. Let's hit the button. That was dramatic, wasn't it? I thought we were going to take off. There we go. They didn't skimp on fan power on this boat, did they? There we are. Shower's in there, so it's a bit bigger than the other one. Good size, actually. And the usual accoutrements, including, of course, the mirror wave. That's enough of that. There we are. I think I'm right in saying all these lights are on dimmers. Let's try it. So that one there switches those on and off. But if we hold it, yeah, there we go. You might be able to see that changing, possibly. There we are. That's dimming right down now. So yeah, you can adjust those to suit. Fantastic. Let's go and take a look at the engines. Another aircraft coming in. It's a busy little airport there, isn't it? This one here is a wet locker. So it's a hanging locker for your coats, like that, but it actually drains. You see a little drain down there? So you put your wet coats in there on an offshore sort of blustery wet day, and they will drip and drain away. Now the engine access on this one is this whole massive section here. You can see the hinges for it back across there. So that whole thing will lift up and grant you access directly over the engines. That's really, really good. However, for doing daily checks or making YouTube videos, they have provided this little hatch here. That's why it's creaking slightly as I walk over it, because it's a hatch. So that one does like that. Let's try again. There we are. Look how thick that is. Fantastic. And down we go. So these are Yanmar diesel engines. They are 440 horsepower each, and they are a conventional shaft drive. If I come right back down through here, there we go, you can see them going down through the back and through the back of the boat there. She's achieving about 28 knots flat out with these engines, which for a big solid boat is pretty good, and cruising really anything sort of 18 to 22 knot area. As I mentioned earlier, I think when they brought the boat up they were cruising at about 20-ish, 22, and that got them from Falmouth to Southampton in about 8 hours. At 20 knots you're looking at around 300 miles of range. That's pretty typical for a boat like this, and as ever you can drop the speed right back. Now this is a semi-displacement hull rather than a planing hull, so if you drop it back to displacement speeds it's very efficient. That's 7 knots, 1,300 miles. So it just depends what you want to do and how much of a hurry you're in. You can see there, that is the gas strut, one of the gas struts. There's another one here, because that is that hatch that opens up. You can see how big that is. So this is this side of it, where that strut is going up, and that strut down there is the other side of it, and it goes right across to those fellas over there. So it really is a massive, massive opening when you've got that up. But this is very helpful for just allowing us to come in here, and as I say, if you want to just come in and check your oil levels and that kind of thing, this would be where you would do it. Fantastic. Generator is down here as well. There we go. Little Fisher Panda fella there in the corner. And I will shuffle on back and we'll go and have a look around the outside. Right. Back out from here. Let's drop that one back down. Oh, that is a big solid hatch, that one. There we go. And if you get that the wrong way around, it won't shut. Hang on. What am I doing wrong? There we go. I see how that works. Okay, that little dot there is lining up with that to open it. So if you do that, see how those two little chaps line up? And now it will open. Oh. Well, that makes no sense, does it? Right, now I've got it. When those two chaps there are lined up, that is locked. When you release it and turn it, then you can open it. There we are, you see. I've got it now. There we are. I'll edit all that out later, and it will be seamless. Perfect. What else can I show you? Oh, there's a couple of things down here to show you that I glossed straight past. We've got underneath here some of the switch gear, generator control, that kind of thing. And we've got access to some of the service bits and pieces there as well. That looks like some kind of plumbing thing there going on. Excellent. And these are the heater controls, I believe, with some confidence. I like the way they put these little Cockwells logos on here as well. That's excellent. Good. I think we've done the interior justice. Let's go and have a wander around the deck. So we'll head on around past Jack Lissac and nice wide side decks. You can see how this steps down, and this is another of these side gates, how useful this is for stepping on and off. These boats are not designed to be super stylish. They're designed to be very practical and very sensible to use, and that's what this does. Really good walkways around it, nice and practical, plenty of non-slip on here, and a nice working deck. There we go, anchor is out of the front, and this one, okay, see, that's locked. Oh, we are nailing this now, aren't we? There we go. Anchor winch, buttons up and down. We've got a bollard there as well, and of course the anchor itself. Brilliant. Seamless. And that, my friends, is about the size of that. That is the new Hardy 45 European. That would be a brilliant boat for taking off and exploring for a few weeks or a few months or a few years. And as I say, absolutely perfect for a couple with occasional guests or kids or whatever, and really, really good privacy with that cabin layout. Massive thanks to Cockwells who've organised that tour. I'll put a link to those guys in the description, and huge thanks as ever to you all for watching it. We'll catch you on another one of these really soon, and we'll finish off with another aeroplane. Here we go. Fantastic. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.